Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning is coming out in just a couple of weeks, and I'm sure everyone's very excited about all the cool special effects. There's lots of special effects in these Mission Impossible movies, and as a video editor, my first question usually is, could I do that in one of my videos? So here's a couple that I've been working on. Let me show you what I'm up to so far. I'm just going to bring in the other screen here. We'll jump it around to there. Very good. So now if we have a look at this screen here, here are some that I've been working on. And then I'll show you how to do them.
For the sun.
So Tom Cruise was riding along on his motorbike and skidded to a stop. And I tried to do a cool skid to the stop scene, but this one's a bit different. And after this, there's a few train scenes, just so I'm not interrupting all the time.
Sun.
That was me. Here's Tom. There's me. And there's me again. And here's me again. Okay, so there's just a few of the Mission Impossible stunts that are going to appear in the film. And I've had a go at doing my own version. And of course, for the whole thing, I filmed and edited just with my iPhone. Because I think you can make amazing videos with an iPhone. So here's how I made the first one, where Tom Cruise was skidding to a stop right on the edge of the cliff. There we go. And my version was using an airplane wing.
For the sun.
And of course, that's while the airplane's taking off. Otherwise, what's the point in doing it? It has to be exciting. So the first thing I did was I had to film myself sliding along like that. So let's have a look at the video. So how did I make that part there? Let me show you. So I'm going to add in the file that I used. I filmed this in my garage. This one here. All right, so you can see my garage. It's a wonderful place, not completely organized, but it's doing okay. I've set up a green screen behind me because InShot has a wonderful feature called chroma key. Chroma key? Is it chroma key? Yeah, or chroma. This one here. It can completely block out a single color in your picture and have it cut through as like a window to whatever video you have underneath. So I thought, oh, that's going to be useful here. So I set myself up a little green screen in my garage and just standing still, sitting on the bike. I quickly thrust the bike forward. In a minute, thrust the bike forward, held that pose for a while, so it's like I'm sliding along. And just as Tom Cruise did at the end, he sort of leaned over and had a bit of a look. So I leaned over then. So I filmed myself doing that a few times. And then using the chroma button, I can choose the green. I want to block out the green. And you can see it's not completely blocking out everything here. So you can make it stronger. Stronger, 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 until all the green has faded away. If you push it up too high, it starts to block out other stuff as well. So just once the green is faded, then I stop. Yeah, about there. Tick. Yes, I'm happy with that. And this is quite there's a lot of other stuff going on in the background, so we can crop that video down using the crop option here. So I'm going to take it right in as close to me as I can get. So now we have me sliding along. So you can see looks like my back's sort of fading a bit. So the chroma might be slightly too high. I'm going to turn it down just a little, just until my back reappears. Yeah, about there. It's always good to have a back that hasn't disappeared. Or maybe just a bit more, still a bit patchy. All right. And you can see that my head's sort of cut off the frame here. So this isn't the one I ended up using in the actual video, but we'll continue with this one. We'll continue with this one just for the purpose of showing you what I did. So I'm going to chop it to the right point. I want it to start there. I've pressed split, click on the front part, which I don't want, press delete. Now I held that and then looked over the edge. So split it again there, delete the last part. There we go, good. Now, what I really wanted was to be sliding along some sort of grassy cliff top like Tom Cruise is in his video. But the problem is, I'm going to use a new InShot feature, which I find is brilliant. If you press the switch option, it goes from the video being the main timeline to all of a sudden, now it's a picture-in-picture. Isn't that brilliant? So I'm going to drag it back to that part where Tom's on the cliff top. There I am. So just to show you what my problem was, I'll put myself over there next to Tom. The problem with using the chroma key and only having a green screen for the wall is that the floor is still sitting there. The chroma key can't block out two colors at once, only one color at a time. So if I jump back into the chroma option, I could block out the floor, but then the green background so it comes back, and that's not ideal. So it has to be the wall. That leaves me with at least a little bit of creamy colored concrete background down around there. And nothing I could think of would really blend that in enough with the grassy, rocky appearance around it. So I tried blend. There's a whole bunch of different changes you can make to the picture here, but it either made the concrete's gone, but I'm white. That doesn't look real anymore. So my solution for that was, if I can't blend in with the rocky, grassy background, what can I blend in with? An airplane wing is kind of that color. So now we go back to the airplane file. And this I just took as a screen recording of a YouTube video, split it to where I want it to be. And rotate it, of course. Otherwise it looks a bit silly. Rotate, there we go. Yeah. And I had it so as I started the slide in the sunshine here, because that makes it closer fit. That makes it closer fit to the color of my concrete. So we go back to the picture-in-picture. And I also tried to really cut the shape. I did the best that I could to really cut the shape. Hello, Prince of Czechoslovakia. Very good to see you. If you have any questions, please let me know. Another thing I did was went to the mask option and chose a circle, just so as I could round the shape of the concrete a little bit. I did everything I could just to cut off as much of that shape, like that, and make it a bit smaller. And the other thing I did before we do any animations was I went to filter and adjust, And I've played with all of these settings to see, does it make the concrete blend in more with the airplane, or does it make it stand out more? So let's try contrast. So lightness down, lightness up. I think neither of those help, so try contrast. Contrast down, contrast up. Contrast down seems to help, so I'll just push it down to the point where it's taking away the color without blocking out my t-shirt color. Hello, S!3ND. Nice to see you here as well. Any questions, let me know. Let's try the warmth. We can go down, we go up. I think down helped it a bit, so we're going to put it down just a little bit. We'll try tint. No, we don't want a green. Purple is bad, so leave the tint at 0. Let's try saturation. I think taking the saturation down a little bit helps. If you take it too far, you go to black and white. So take it down just a bit. And the curves can help, but if you go too far with the curves, it really goes nuts with the coloring. So let's just bump around a little bit, see if that helps. Yeah, that one up, that's better. That one down a bit. And I think we're getting pretty close to the airplane wing color now, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to leave that there. I fiddled around with it a bit more when I was making the video that I showed you earlier, but it's all just this sort of stuff. Move it up, move it down, and there we go. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Now let's watch and make sure that it fits the movements. Okay, so just before I start to move, that's where we want to chop it to. So I'm going to drag that back there. Good. Okay. Yep, sliding, excellent. Okay. So the next thing I did is to make it look like I'm sliding. All I did was use a keyframe. So we go to keyframe. This triangle here, it's a triangle and a plus, so press that. And then by the time the video finishes, I want to be at the edge of the airplane flap up there. But because I'm sort of sliding away, I'm going to look like it gets smaller. So we can drag it down there. There we go. So now it should look like I'm sliding and getting further away. That's good. Although a real slide would be faster than that. So to make it faster, I just have to choose a point earlier on and say by that point, yeah, I want it to be at the end after only 2 seconds instead of 3. It's going to make it a bit smaller. I'm going to delete that last keyframe so it doesn't move around anymore. Let's try that. I think I'd still like it to go a little bit faster. So I think by the time it's about here, 1.5 seconds, it should be at the end of the wing. So I'll make myself smaller again by pushing that little arrow. Delete the last keyframe so it doesn't move around. How's that look? Yeah, that's pretty good. That's better. So now I also had a cool sort of squeaky noise. There are a lot of noises that you can add from the music section. So you go to effects, and if we have a look at vehicles, and none of these really do the thing that we want. I'll show you some of them. Yeah, car look, motorcycle. So when I can't find a noise that I want, I either make it myself with my mouth. You know, maybe you want a or a beep, beep, or if you want a whole bunch of people going, yay, you can do that yourself. Or if you don't want to do it yourself, Then you can go to YouTube. Just been watching Jazza. Do you like Jazza? And we can say screeching sound effect. You have to be careful doing it this way. You have to make sure that what you're using has permission by the owner. Otherwise, they might claim it as some copyright infringement or that sort of thing. So if you do it this way, be careful of where you're using it. If you're going to put it on another YouTube video, make sure you do your due diligence to double check. Violin screech, no. Tire screech. That's the one that I used. So I recorded that as a screen record, like this. 3, 2, 1, and we're recording. Stop the recording. Good. Now back to InShot. Here we go, add music, extract audio from video, and the one that we just did up the top there, the sound is going to be right where the waves go nuts. So right there to there. And then we just need to have that starting at the same time as I lean into my bike. Okay, let's have another look at that. I think it starts a bit too late, so I'm going to make the view zoomed further in. Yes. So when I start moving, I want to hear that noise. So I'm drag it across. That's pretty good. And I think it goes a little bit too long. So there, where I stop moving, the sound has to stop. So I'm going to drag it back to there. And so it's not just chopping off quickly. I'm going to go to sound. And I want it to fade out over 0.5 seconds. That should work well. All right. Okay, nice. There's one more thing that we need to do. And another way of disguising the concrete appearance there was I put an effect that I was hoping looked a bit like smoke. So to make this smoke effect, I added a picture-in-picture. And I went to materials and atmosphere. And one of the atmospheres is a smoke effect. It's like a mist. Yeah, that's the one. So I'm going to add that. And you get the option of how do you want it to blend. You can choose all of these different blending types. So I went with that one. But you can change the opacity. You can change how sort of thick or how transparent it is. So about there, because I want to be able to see it. And that way I can still see my legs through the shot. That's good. And I want it to be a different shape. So I'm going to use the mask, because the mask lets you move your shapes around. Circle is good. So let's go about that. And do we want to fade the edges? Yeah, I think that looks good. Just a tiny little fade so as it's fluffy around the edges. So tick, yes, that's what I want. And make it about as big as the bike. So now we're going to have this smoke effect following us, which conveniently covers up the concrete. So a few things. I'm going to start it as a keyframe. And when we first turn it on, we don't want it to be there. So once I start moving there, now we want it to appear. So I've added a keyframe. We go back to the beginning. And we're going to turn the transparency all the way down to 0. I think that's the word. So anyway, you can't see it at this point anyway. So it's all the way down to 0. And when I start moving, it's going to appear. The next thing is the smoke really should follow the bike. So by the time the bike gets to here, the smoke should be there too. And it will get smaller as it goes off into the distance. And then it will slowly fade away a little bit after that point. So we'll say about here. So go to Edit, the opacity, and fades away. So let's have a look at that. So that is how I copied the sliding the bike up to the edge of something dangerous effect, which we first saw in Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. Would you like me to demonstrate any of the other stunts from that movie? If you would, let me know in the comments which one would you like, and I'll see you in the next video.